Welcome back, everyone. I'm the Bella Gamer, and we're back with another archetype from Dark Archive. If you can't tell, I'm a little tired. I've been doing all kinds of great things here on the channel, bringing you all kind of great content at a rate I've never done before. It's not going to continue. Once we're done with Dark Archive, I'm going back to a regular schedule. There's so many things I've had to actually give up to do all these Dark Archive videos in a row, but I gotta jump on it while the opportunity is here. And not only that, but no one's really gonna cover the archetypes like we do here on this channel. So, I feel like it's kind of owed to the internet to get these wonderful archetypes that, Dark Archive has produced for us. Speaking of, recently we also had a great event. We talked with Mark Seifter, who has done so much in the Pathfinder universe and is currently working on the Battle Zoo and the Eldamon project. So check out that live stream that we had. That was a really great time, and I love talking to Mark. And yeah, we're doing so many great things here on the channel, and it's just gonna keep going. We're gonna hit 1,000 subscribers soon. Our Discord is slowly creeping to 100 members, which is really cool. There's so many great things. So, if you want to be a part of this, or if you at least want to watch from the shadows, like this video if you like it, obviously, so you can see more people like it, or more people can see the video, like you, or subscribe to have a better chance of seeing these videos when they come up. Join the Discord, yada yada. I'm not even gonna go into it today. Let's just get into the archetype. It's a great archetype though, and this archetype is gonna tie in slightly with the living vessel archetype. So with the living vessel archetype, if you have not seen it yet, check it out. Here we go. Check it out here, as some of the feats actually cross over with living vessel. And you don't need to watch it first. You can watch it afterwards for it to make sense. And honestly, you probably should watch this one first anyway, because it will make more sense. But today we're going to be talking about the Pactbinder, which is an archetype dedicated to making binding vows with powerful entities in exchange for services or special abilities. And it's a really cool archetype dedication. All right, so we're going to be talking about the dedication itself, but the Pactbinder is a unique archetype in the sense that it is required to do some kind of narrative events to get access to them. You have to actually meet the entities. You can't just conjure them to make these packs. So this archetype dedication itself is one where you need to take like the dedication feat and some of its other, feats, in hope that you run into these creatures or maybe retraining into them at a later point. It's something that is going to be a little bit hard for you as a player to enforce, because obviously you can't make a pact with a Fae if you never meet a powerful enough Fae to make the pact. So this archetype dedication has a lot of narrative and role-playing effects. While you can get really good benefits from these packs, just remember that you're not guaranteed to get any of these packs in your game, and this is something that you need to discuss with your GM. The Pactbinder dedication is uncommon, which is common for most archetypes, honestly, which makes it kind of a what's it called? I can't remember. The uncommon tag kind of doesn't mean the same thing anymore. It just means that your DM can say no if they feel like it won't impact the game, which is what all the access tags really mean. But the Pactbinder dedication itself requires that you're trained in diplomacy, as well as any of the arcana, nature, occultism, or religion skills. You only need to be trained in one of those plus diplomacy to get access to Pactbinder. Pretty easy. 2 skills is not too much to ask for a character, and you can pick up this dedication as early as level 2. So when you do so, you get your diplomacy increased to experts. And one of the following, obviously, it had to be the one you were training to get access to the dedication of arcana, nature, occultism, or religion. So right there, base dedication, you get 2 skill increases. That's pretty good. Not only that, but you get access to a unique ability called the Binding Vow. It's a single action if that's relevant in a given scene, and you can only do this once per day. Now, there's a lot of text here, obviously, for the binding vow, and a lot of it just kind of boils down to when you make a binding vow, you are doing so magically, and breaking that vow becomes anathema to you. Which means that if you break any of your vows, you lose access to all Pactbinder based abilities, and you cannot regain access to them until you've successfully followed your vow, or you have gone through a atone ritual if completing the vow becomes impossible. Like if you're made a vow to save someone and you're incapable of doing so, you need to go through a whole ritual to atone for it. And even then, some of the entities that you made vows with may break them off with you anyway, seeing as you are now a pact breaker. So a lot of the text here is mostly designed to tell you your vows are not something that you can use to get around loopholes in some scenarios. Your vows cannot be used, for instance, to break your tenets if you're a champion, or the edicts of your god if you're a cleric. You cannot make vows that are designed in a way where you were going to do them anyway. A vow must be something that you are committed to doing that lies outside of your normal task. Now, whether you go to the same area or not, you can make a vow for killing someone in an area you plan on going to, and that's fine. But if you also plan on killing this individual, then the binding vow has no real value because you're not really going out of your way and you're not performing a service for someone else. It has to be something that you are doing that lies outside of your personal goals or, what things you are intending to complete. The only real crossover is if you plan on being in an area anyway, which, Beyond all of this, when you have a binding vow, when you make a request or coerce directly in service to your vow, you gain a +1 circumstance bonus to your check against creatures aware of your vow. So this makes it because people know you are telling the truth, and because your binding vow is magical and it makes people more likely to trust you. This gives you a bonus to make requests in service of it if they deem that, it doesn't go against their own aims or deals. So overall, the Pathfinder dedication itself is pretty good. It's pretty interesting, and a lot of text here is just written to prevent players from finding loopholes in the contract. The binding vow is supposed to be a, like a quest in a sense, a service, and you're not supposed to use it to get around certain things. So if you take Pactbinder with the idea of manipulating the vows, you're going to make your DM's life a headache. And if your DM's okay with it, then I guess, whatever. But it's very much not in line with the ideals of the game to do this. And doing so just makes you look like a munchkin, and no one wants that. The next feat here on the list is Sociable Vow. It's a skill feat, so you can pick this up with your skill feat increases, and you can only pick this up with your class ones. I was informed in a prior video, so thank you to those who helped correct me, that if there is a skill feat that does not have a specific skill attached to it, you can only pick this up with the generic skill feat increases from your class. Can't pick this up with anything from like the Swashbuckler or the Investigator, who gets extra skill feats based on certain kinds of skills. I think you can still pick it up with the Rogue one, though. I think the Rogue one specifically is you just get more skill feats. But I could be wrong on that one. In any case, this is an archetype skill, and it's in the archetype category. It's not attached to any skill specifically. Now, the Sociable Vow, I forgot the name, allows you to leverage your vow in ways that are more beneficial to you in more social situations. Whether you're gathering information, whether you're demoralizing a target, or attempting to make an impression with the target, you get that +1 circumstance bonus, as your character is incredibly motivated to accomplish these goals. In the case of demoralize, I don't even think they would need to be aware of the vow. It could just be represented by your character's desperation to finish the vow to avoid being a pact breaker that could give you that +1 circumstance bonus. So overall, this is a good small skill feat, and it gives you a +1 circumstance in more situations. I really like this skill feat. All right, next up is Pact of Fae Glamour. Now I'm gonna keep everything in front of me. I'm sorry if it bleaches my face out. A lot of these pacts just have some weird wording here and there, and I just want to make sure I'm getting it right for you guys. So, Pact of Fae Glamour is very interesting. Essentially, more or less, you make a pact with a Fae to gain your ideal appearance. When the pact is completed, you gain the visage of your choice, and it becomes permanent. It's no longer, this is your new visage, at least while the pact remains valid. Now, you also gain access to Illusory Disguise as a primal innate spell once per hour. If you watch The Living Vessel, you know that some of these more roleplay-centric kind of feats are based on roleplay narrative kind of beats, and thus they're stronger than standard feats. There's not many feats that give you a spell once per hour in Pathfinder as of right now. Most of them are once per day. So once per hour is pretty strong, and Illusory Disguise is a really good spell to have access to. And not only that, but when you're calculating your DC for people attempting to break your Illusory Disguise, it's the highest of your class or spell DC. So even if you're a martial character, this pact can be really good, though in my opinion class DCs are kind of not super great. But Illusory Disguise is one of the least offenders in that kind of category. And yeah, so this is a very interesting one, and this has huge narrative kind of focus. If your character was born with some kind of deformity, or maybe you took an injury that has deformed your character in some way, this is a way to allow you to change your visage, get a little bit of bonus on the side. And the only thing you have to do for the Fae is you have to automatically accept any hospitality towards Fae. Or you have to accept to promise any Fae's request for hospitality, granting them food, drink, and water and lodging for up to 3 days and 3 nights. You also promise not to harm any creature to whom you've offered hospitality or who has shown you hospitality, whether or not that creature is a Fae, unless that creature does you harm first. If you refuse hospitality to a Fae, you lose the benefits of the feat until you atone for your transgressions, instantly reverting your appearance to the one you had before the pact. So, yeah, this one's a fun one. If a Fae comes asking for room and board, you have to do so for 3 days and 3 nights and offer them hospitality, which can be a headache in some situations. Now, I love this feat for a variety of reasons, but this actually kind of is in line with the idea of Icelandic and some Scandinavian lore, which is they have a lot of kind of magics based around giving hospitality. If you didn't know, in Scandinavian countries like Norway, hospitality is a really big cultural thing. And the fact that they bring this to the Fae packs it makes me feel really good in my Norwegian heart, as a good portion of my family lives in Norway. So this is a really fun feat for overall for the Pactbinder. Pact of Draconic Fury is really strong, actually. And it's really strong for one reason in particular. But so you make a pact with a dragon. The promise is to add to the dragon's horde in some form or another. The request might be an extremely specific, unique object, or might be a broader category of objects. While the dragon agrees to pay you a fair price for the item you retrieve, the pact requires you to give your time and service. So this is actually something I really like. Essentially, the dragon sends you on a quest to go retrieve an item or a type of items in which they pay you fairly for those items. So you actually don't even lose anything other than your character's time. And of course, you have to commit to this to get the benefits of the pact. By doing so, you get access to Dragon Breath, which you can use once per hour. And as a breath effect, if the dragon's breath is a cone, you make a 30-foot cone. If it's a line, it's a 60-foot line. And if it's a burst, it's a 10-foot burst, using the same type of damage as the dragon you made the pact with. But what makes it really strong in particular is that it does a d6 damage per level So per your level, this can get up to 20d6 damage, which is really strong for a lot of breath weapons in the game. A lot of them, I think, increase at half that rate. I might be wrong on that, but that does seem incredibly strong. Now, these breath weapons are all based on a reflex saving throw, and as the same with the Fae Glamour, the DC is based on the highest of your spell DC or class DC, so even martial characters can get the benefit of this pact as well. This overall is just a really strong pact. It's a fun quest. You're going to go get loot that you're going to be paid for by a dragon. Honestly, this is probably one of the easiest pacts to make, beyond the fact that you have to find a dragon in the first place who's willing to make the pact with you. But overall, this is a really cool feat. Pact of Infernal Prowess is really interesting. So essentially, you make a pact with the devil, granting them your soul once you pass on to the afterlife. Once per hour when you So overall, let me explain how the pact actually works. So overall, once you die, your soul automatically goes to hell. Now, when your soul is consigned to hell, you can't be returned to life except by a powerful magic such as the miracle, which is the divine version of the wish spell. And even then, the devils responsible for the contract can track your every move for a year. The devil gains access to discern location spell, and they also can use the 10th level scrying at will, and you automatically critically fail the saving throw. So at will, the devil can always see you and your immediate surroundings. And they gain the effects of the discern location spell. So as long as they're within a certain proximity to you, they know your exact location. Also, this has the special trait here at the bottom. You can't retrain out of the Pact of Infernal Prowess without journeying to hell to destroy the devil's written contract, spelling out the terms of your pact. So some of the other pacts you can train out of. You can decide you no longer wish to receive the benefits, and it's kind of a mutual break-off. Devils are not as kind as that, and they will keep you to your word unless you go to hell to break your contract, which could be a good, cool quest overall. Now, the benefits that you get are pretty good. Once per hour, if you critically fail a check, you can re-roll the check and this is a free action, and it gains the fortune effect. That's pretty good. More often than not, when you critically fail a check, you don't do so that often, so being able to do it again gives you a much better chance of not only success, but also preventing critical failure, which is pretty good. And not only that, but this is for a check. So this is for a combat roll, a skill check, a saving throw. All of these are considered checks, which you can re-roll. Additionally, you can choose to automatically succeed at checks to earn income for tasks below your level without rolling. So as long as you take a 1-level hit to the income you can possibly make, you can automatically make checks to earn an income. Now, obviously, you still need to have the training proficiencies to get access to that income, but that's pretty good overall. It guarantees in downtime you just make money. You just tell the DM, hey, if this job is available, I'm going to go make money, and then they just give it to you. There's no check required. That's pretty cool. It's very good. Honestly, though, for earning income, I feel like rolling is often better because your skill is probably good enough to get a good roll, but being able to automatically succeed is just a good way to earn some money. Do I think this is worth selling your soul for? I don't think so, but it is an interesting story nonetheless. And being able to reroll a crit fail once per day or once per hour is really good. Pact of the Final Breath is a very cool feat. Essentially, you make a pact with the psychopomp, and if you don't know what psychopomps are, they're essentially the entities that garner over death. They work for Pharasma, and like the Grim Reaper would be a psychopomp, for instance, or a special type of entity that helps maintain the balance between the living and the dead. So you make a pact with a psychopomp, typically an Altharius advocate, or whatever. It's one of those situations where you're petitioning to them on probably when you're dead, before your soul is collected in exchange for the respect of the dead and assistance against the undead. As long as you keep your end of the bargain, you live twice as long as you normally would before dying of natural causes. So whatever standard lifespan for your ancestry that you have, this doubles it. For some races, that's pretty good. For other races, you live forever. So it potentially could be really good. Additionally, the first time each day that you would be reduced to 0 hit points and gain the dying condition, you instead regain a number of hit points equal to twice your level and remain conscious, gaining fast healing equal to your level for 3 rounds. So this benefit is huge. You not only live twice as long, which isn't relevant in most campaigns, but, is interesting narrative. But the first time each day you go to 0 hit points and would be dying, which means you're not under an effect that would prevent you from dying, you regain, you don't go unconscious, and you instantly regain twice your level in HP. That's enough to put you up and potentially put you up for another attack. And not only that, but you gain fast healing equal to your level for 3 rounds. So at the beginning of your next 3 turns, you gain your level in HP again. So if you're level 5 when you take this feat, when you go down to 0, you come back up to 10 without dying, and you gain an additional 15 over the next 3 rounds. So 5 one round, 10, or 5 another, up to 15. 25 HP for once per day after going down. That's pretty good at level 5 and most levels, honestly. Granted, final breath you can't pick up to level 12, which makes it even stronger. That would mean 24 HP coming up, and then an additional 36 over the next 3 rounds. So all you have to do in exchange is, when you come across any dead along your journey, you must give them last rites, providing any final dispositions to ensure that your spirit is put to rest. Now, you don't have to necessarily do it in the culture of the creature you find if you don't know that culture, but you have to do some kind of rites or service appropriate as you see fit, probably following the edicts of Pharasma as a general. But if you know the creature's preferred, method of death for whatever reason, their culture, you must perform those rites and services. This also includes for creatures that you kill along the way, because they count as being dead you come across. So if you kill a creature, you also have to put them to final rest as well. You don't have to do it immediately. You can do so when at your next earliest convenience, just as long as you don't leave them there to rot for an extended period of time. Now, you also must swear to destroy any undead you come across that is within your own power to do so and is not of inordinate risk to yourself. So obviously, if you see a zombie in the field, you must kill it. But if you are aware of a powerful lich in the area that's way above you in power, you're not committed to felling that lich, at least until you get strong enough to do so. Now, if you break this pact, you lose all the benefits, and the protections immediately end. If you're already at a point where you lived beyond your natural lifespan, the Psychopump comes to you and offers you a few moments to say any last farewells or words, and then you simply breathe your final breath to pass on. This is such a cool, interesting archetype, and it's a really great one, especially if you have a long adventure to end your character's adventure off with. The hardest part about this one is Psychopomps are pretty rare. They're pretty uncommon to come across, and you might all have to seek one out and go to great lengths to do so to make this pact, rather than hoping you come across one. All right, last but not least is Pact of Eldritch Eyes, and I'm sorry if this video has gone a little longer than anyone would have wanted. It has for me, for sure. The pacts require a lot of explanation, and I want to make sure that players who pick this know what they're getting into, and GMs who are potentially watching this know the ways that they're supposed to carry these pacts out. So I apologize. Hopefully the next video is going to be shorter, but who knows. Pact of Eldritch Eyes. So you've sworn a pact with an entity beyond mortal comprehension, granting you distant visions and insights. You can cast Prying Eyes, an occult innate spell, once per hour, using the higher of your class DC or spell DC to determine the DC. So Prying Eye is essentially allowing you to gain vision of a area that you're aware of or have seen before. It's a spying spell. It's a pretty good spell overall, and the only exchange is that the entity will peer through you into your world, oftentimes as nightmares in your dreams. Now, the cool thing about this is one of the few pact requirements that gives you benefits. First of all, when this happens, you awaken every morning being trained in an unexpected lore scale determined by your GM. So the entity looks through you and you gain access to some strange lore, whether it's lore of the stars, whether it's lore of like farming lore or sailing lore, whatever. For some reason, this inexplicable knowledge is inside your character's head, which I find is very interesting. And a GM can work this in a number of ways. It can be really funny, it can be very ominous, and there's all kinds of ways this can be done. The next time you rest for the night, you retain this lore until the next time you rest for the night, in which you wake up with a new one. Now, while the entity prefers to contact you in your sleep, it occasionally will appear through you during the day, leaving you slightly disorientated with visions. Now, during this time, you're extremely groggy, but it normally isn't a major event unless you are, whatever reason, suffering from this when combat starts. When you do, you take a circumstance penalty to your initiative roll based on the severity of these particular visions. Not only that, but there's a special trait on the bottom here. If you can retrain out of this pact with no major drawbacks or ideas. The entity is not particularly tied to this and will just let it go with no issue if you wish to train out of this one. So yeah, you can end this one at any time by retraining, and you get access to a cool ability and some interesting lore stuff. Now, I did mention earlier the Living Vessel. So for the Pact of Eldritch Eyes, the Pact of Infernal Prowess, or the Pact of Fae Glamour, you can sign these specific pacts with the entity inside of you. That is a very cool and interesting way to get more power out of Living Vessel. Now, Living Vessel doesn't require you take Pactbinder. Instead, you can pick up these Pactbinder feats in Living Vessel if you have the required entity inside of you, which I think is very cool, very interesting, and it makes Living Vessel have just a little bit more cool stuff to it and some more narrative stuff. And that's going to be it for Pactbinder. I absolutely love this archetype dedication. I think it's a really good one. There's so much good narrative flair, so much cool narrative goodness, and you get some really good powers out of this. Now, again, I want to re-mention, these packs are not guaranteed to you by your GM. Talk with your GM when you pick up Pactbinder, and your GM may allow you to have it just in case some such events happen in your narrative. But many of the times, the creatures that you're going to be making pacts with are going to be rare encounters that you have. It's not very often, for instance, that you meet a devil who's not trying to innately kill you on your ventures. But it could happen, and it's much more likely to happen. An Eldritch entity, on the other hand, that's a different story. But, that's for you and your GM. Anyway, that's going to be it for me today. Thank you all so much for watching. Good luck with your games. Leave the bad luck to me, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.